that drive every time gets me.
Lovely.
Yeah, that doesn't get old. Welcome, team. We got Liam and Rhian in the house.
Hello.
Yeah, sure do. Welcome. The group back at it.
Yeah.
Band's back together.
The band's back together. And little Jokey boy.
Oh,
Hey, buddy. Hey. Hi.
The being able to
Is he getting big?
Yeah, we weighed him yesterday. He's up to 12 kilos now, which is pretty big for a 15-week-old puppy.
That's huge.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Blue's 21 kilos, so he's catching up already.
Wow.
Yeah, all right. That was Beethoven's weight, so you can tell like Beethoven's all fluff and no muscle.
Dude, so much fluff. Every time I pat him, I'm surprised at how much fluff there is to him.
Yeah. You should see when he gets wet. It's hilarious.
He's a little drag, right?
That's what she said. What have you all been up to? Liam, you've been away.
Yeah, I went on a 10-day road trip. I went from here down the New South Wales coast. Took 5 days to drive down to Adelaide. To drive down New South Wales coast and then cut through, went to Wagga Wagga, through Pinaroo at the border of South Australia, and then stayed a couple of days in Adelaide where Danielle's sister had her baby. I didn't realise how small brand new babies are. Like, obviously, like I've seen babies like when people brought them into the gym for the first time, and they're obviously real small, like they're like a week or two old, but a baby that was born yesterday is so small.
Yes.
Absolutely
they're like
ridiculous.
These teeny tiny little soft squishy potatoes.
Literally, and just all they do is just like
I caught one.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, in the delivery room.
Yeah,
Emmy, Greg.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Because like there's so much pressure there, and then when it comes out, it like rockets out, and if you are not coordinated, you will drop her or him. It is fucking crazy.
That's scary.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
That is wild.
But I mean,
I never even thought of that being
my
a
hands
thing.
are here, and then the table's here, so it's like,
Yeah.
It's not like
you'd have to be special to miss it.
Well, there'd be many special people, I reckon. It's very slippery.
100%. I believe it. Thanks.
Well, I don't think we dropped her for the first couple of months, but she's been dropped.
Yeah, you drop babies.
For a couple months.
Mate. When you've got her
especially off the side of the bed and shit.
When you've got her here, in your grasp, and then you're just walking through rooms, and your head, you'll hear this clonk, and you're like, oh, that's her head.
Parenting 101.
Yeah, thank you. Parenting hacks from Gregory.
Yeah, and then you go and get, you do your 6-month catch up with the nurse, and they're like, oh no, she's at scratch. She's normal for her age. I'm like, thank God she hasn't lost brain cells or anything.
Maybe she was going to be a genius before you hit her head.
No. We didn't actually whack her head, but she's fell off the bed a couple of times. You just she's sleeping and she's in the bed, and you just hear this crack when you're in the kitchen, and you're like, oh, no. Our child.
It's my worst nightmare. That's why I'm terrified.
It happens. It's fine.
What have you been up to, Rhian?
My dad said, oh yeah, whatever.
No, talk about your dad.
My dad said when I was real little, maybe 3 or 4 months old, I was sleeping in between them, and he rolled on top of me. And my mum couldn't wake him up, so she lay down on her back, got her heels up, and kicked him in the back as hard as she could, and he flew off the bed. And that was my whole story. So,
Were you just laying under him though, like this?
I don't remember.
Mom would remember.
No, apparently I was crying. Apparently I was crying.
Your very first memory for me ever.
Yeah, Anne doesn't trust me, so it's the wall, Emmy, and a long pillow, and then me. So
yeah, so you're just
because when I'm out, I don't wake up in the middle of the night.
Falling off.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah.
What have you been doing, Rizzo?
Nothing. Just working and training. I've been doing the program. It's been so good.
I'm very jealous. I've missed like 10 whole days of the program, and I'm sad.
Yeah, I just have. I don't know that I don't really have any particular reason as to why I've been enjoying it more than anything. Nothing's different, but I definitely, I have been, uh, I've been enjoying the 20 reps, the 20 rep back squats and the 20 rep deadlifts. That's been like, it's especially for me. I said this to Liam before. I was like, I've never been really good at deadlifts at all, ever. Like for me, I was always that person in a workout that was doing singles, like fast singles for, if it's like heaps of reps at like 70, 80 kilos, 90 kilos, I was always doing singles. But I've been doing like the set of 20 and being like, this feels amazing. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm really
That's good.
enjoying
You
it.
have changed your whole bottom position and everything, like you'll pull off the ground in all of your movements, really. So that would probably have a lot to do with it, with how you're engaging not just your legs but your midline and stuff as well, which is pretty cool to see that change you've made has
Translated.
made a difference.
Yeah.
I think traditionally as a weightlifter as well, like why would you need to pull more than one off the ground? You know, like that's why weightlifters don't really love deadlifts or high rep deadlifts. It's like you just need to pull one, and it's not even a 1 rep max deadlift. Whereas
No, it's
typical,
not even close.
yeah, and typical CrossFitters suck at squatting, so we're getting the best of both worlds, hey?
Literally. I thought I was gonna struggle far more, and I feel like I was worried that everybody else was gonna really struggle too. Like I was low key nervous. But it's been awesome. I feel like everybody, I mean, I do Friday mornings, so I do the deadlifts on Friday mornings, and it's been great.
I think and we probably worded it well as well, like the percentages are so important on them days, whereas on other days, like it's like, oh, it's 78% and now it's like 91%. It's just like tiny little things, but when it's like a 20 rep max, like them small percentages make a big difference. And
huge
I think
difference.
we're pretty diligent on that first week where we're like, it needs to be this, and even if people fucked it up, they realize that they fucked it up, and then it's like, all right, pull yourself back in. It needs to be this for this week, because you're just gonna fucking destroy yourself. So them percentages pretty spot on, because we've got to work out next week that it should be, we're only doing 10 reps, not 20 reps, but it should be sort of close to where you've been living on that first or second week. So
pretty excited for that workout.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
And I think, I said today, I was telling the guys in class today, our intention is to, obviously we'll do, that deadlift squat variation for the workout next week and step away from the 20 reps, but the idea is to maintain that volume and still test that volume a little bit, and then we're going to come back and test it at the end of the block again, which I'm excited to see how the retest will go.
But I'm excited to see like a full 20 rep max,
Well, yeah, we didn't really test it at the start. We just kind of like did
like now that everyone kind of knows
5.
what it feels like, when you get to the end of the program and you kind of know, okay, I'm built up to whatever it is, 75% of my 1 rep max for 20. Let's give 85% a go and see what I can do, see how far I can get. I think that's going to be super exciting, at least for me, to watch, not so much to do.
Yeah.
But
I reckon there'll be a big discrepancy between the back squat and the deadlift, because everyone's super confident with the deadlift being just like yay close to the ground. Whereas if it's on your back, you're like, you're going to shit yourself, or you need spotters there to do everything perfectly. So I reckon the back squats, they'll be up there, but I reckon there'll be some pretty big weights on the deadlift for a 20 rep.
100%. I think especially because with
I'm
the
excited.
deadlift, a lot of people get that little bit of assistance with the bounce off the ground as well.
What bounce?
Well, even if you're just touching the ground lightly, there is still a bounce off the ground, which you're not getting in a squat.
Yeah, correct. I was trying my best to.
I don't know about you guys, but I bounce out of my squat.
Yeah, my knees would explode if I squatted like you do.
I've got some 9 mil knee sleeves, but if I could have 12 mil knee sleeves, I'd get 12 mil knee sleeves.
Just
If
wear
they had
2
20
pairs
mil,
of 9s.
Do you really think 12 mil would make a difference? What if you used weightlifting straps?
You're allowed. Well,
Isn't it
probably not at
rotating?
CrossFit comps, actually. I don't think you're allowed to wear the wraps at CrossFit comps.
I actually have a set and I've used them in the past, probably like 5 years ago now. And it takes me like 10 minutes to wrap both my knees. And then I waddle out and then one of them unravels on my first rep. So I'm just like, fuck this.
Definitely a skill to wrap at your knees properly.
Yeah. So did you guys see the announcement from CrossFit?
I didn't. So what's this announcement? This is news to me.
Yes. This makes me very excited, actually.
Can you see this?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I like the little reminder in the top left corner here. Actual recording is of high quality.
Actually, I can't even see it.
I can't see shit yet.
Yeah, I can't see it's loading. But yeah, in short, Riz, they announced that the age groups, so the teenagers, the old farts, and the adaptive division will be on a different date, or will all have their own date, rather than being on the same year as the same weekend as the individuals.
Yeah. Okay. What teams included?
So individuals and teams will be on the same weekend.
Yeah.
And then adaptive masters and teams will all be on different weekends and different locations, which I think is pretty exciting for those athletes who are wanting to do those things, because that puts that whole weekend's emphasis is on you rather than you kind of being like an afterthought, which I think not only will be good for the athletes in terms of getting a good experience at the games, but also sponsorships and stuff like that. Like getting more exposure is huge, something that doesn't happen very often in CrossFit, but having 4 weekends rather than 1 will be pretty cool, I think.
But this is my question. Do you not worry that, like, not that this sounds terrible, but obviously because they're all on the same weekend, you kind of get a lot more people watching because everybody's there? Or do you think, and so then it's like, if it's on a separate weekend, people are less likely to watch? Or do you think it will be the other
personally, I definitely am more likely to watch if it's on a separate weekend. So if I have an hour and a half on a Saturday to watch the CrossFit game, I'm going to prioritize and I'm going to watch the individuals. And that means I'm choosing not to watch the age groups, and I'm choosing not to watch the adaptive division. But if in 3 weeks' time there's a age group division and there's nothing else on, I'm watching the age group division.
True.
That's just
for me. That's if CrossFit actually like stream it quite well. Yeah. If it's me, especially with the CrossFit Games being in America, where it's like all weird without times, you know, like it's like overnight, so you can't really watch it live. Like I might like jump on live and I'll see a few of the teens or the masters by accident, and I might watch a bit of it, but I'm there for the individuals. I feel like if it was a completely different competition on a different day, I don't know if I'd actually like, to be honest, go and watch the masters. I don't even know if they're going to call it the CrossFit Games Masters thing. They might call it like a Legends thing, or you'll be a Legends athlete or something like that. They haven't really specified whether it's going to be like a CrossFit Games competition or they'll, and like people are dedicating their whole life to it.
There you go.
Yeah, so people are dedicating their whole life to, you know, make it as a teen or make it as a master. But if they remove that word CrossFit Games athlete, then I think that might deter a few people because they actually want that maybe in their bio, or they, you know, it might sell whatever they're trying to sell. And I'm just curious. I think there's a lot of questions.
Disappointing. Yeah, obviously they have released zero details other than just saying, hey, it's going to be on different weekends and in different locations. I mean, they haven't actually even said it would be different weekends. They've just said different locations, and I assumed it'll be on different weekends.
Yeah, I think Dave Castro mentioned it's going to be on a completely different weekend in his week.
I think it's better. I think you'll have more people competing. I think you'll have more because now you can invite 30 from each age group rather than 7 or 8 or whatever it was.
Yeah, he said it's going to basically double the qualifying spots.
Yeah, which is huge, right? I think that's just good for the sport, having more people competing at the top level, even if it's only their friends and family watching the event. Now you have double the amount of people watching that event, and all the same people will still watch the CrossFit Games. And your weekend is going to go for 3 days, and you'll know when the time slots are. You don't have to sift through 19 different heats of shit to just watch the one heat that you want to watch. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm excited about it.
I just have.
Do you find this crazy that Tia Claire Toomey is competing at the Rogue and she just had a baby 6 or 8 weeks ago or whatever?
I mean,
yeah.
The thing I have, just back on the topic of like the event, the thing that bothers me about CrossFit, it's like, just fucking pick a way to run this goddamn event.
Yeah.
And stick with it. Stop changing it. Like, they changes every year. The qualifying standards
every single year.
Every year. Everything changes all of the time. And it's like, just commit to one thing. Like, why do we keep changing it all the time?
Yeah, it does make it hard to follow as well as a sport.
It just makes it like frustrating because it's like, oh, like.
Well,
like
I just don't think that they've found the right path yet.
Because I don't think they really gave anything except for the original way a try.
Well, they did sanctionals for a couple of years, and then they moved to regionals, and then regionals was like how many years? Like 5 years, and then they moved away from regionals, and then they went to sanctionals. But I'm not sure if it was like a financial thing because they definitely were losing money doing these massive regionals around the world. Where now they do sanctionals, where people are actually like Tour and Pro are paying CrossFit to run that, and they make money by doing a really good event. But I don't know the back end of like financials and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, there's been a little bit of discussion on like the audience and the viewing of the CrossFit Games going down from, maybe 5 years ago to now. So maybe they're trying to just find a better way. But yeah, it's frustrating, especially from us who, just want a little bit of stability in the sport to just, have a bit of fun and, creep away at getting closer and closer or, even just following. It's hard to follow now, but.
Well, I think it's especially like, let's say Gregg decides that he wants to become a CrossFit Games athlete in the Masters division. You don't know what your year's going to look like, which is crazy. Like, you are trying to be a high-level athlete, and no one in the sport knows what their next 12 months is going to look like. That is insanity.
Yeah. Well, especially the Masters and the teens, like that's changed from year to year, whereas at least the individuals has been somewhat similar with like tweaks, whereas the Masters is like, oh no, we're going to do an online thing now. And like, that's why everyone kept asking me when I won tour, and they're like, so are you going to the games? And I'm like, oh no, that was just an in-person competition. It's all about these online competitions where you're just racing the fucking camera. And I'm like, that sucks so bad because I do so much better in person. Whereas Antorian Pro put on a really good comp. I feel like that should be a qualifier to the games. But unfortunately, it is
hard though, because then you're not just competing with people in like, because an age group is much smaller than the entirety of it. You can't just be like, okay, well, like 3 people from Australia, 3 people. I mean, that's like, they could do that now that they are inviting more than double the amount of people to potentially the age group CrossFit Games. You can now invite every year 3 people from Australia, which means that the Torian Pro can have a live event for those 3 spots, where now it was kind of just like, oh, if all 10 of the best are from US, then that is what it is. And then it's just those 10 that go.
Yeah.
I think with more spots available, you allow stuff like that, like how cool would it be to watch? I think in person at the Torrent Pro, watching the oldies throw down would be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something that, I follow and I keep an eye on, but I'm curious as to how many other people follow the Masters and the teens and all that stuff.
Well, I actually did read an interesting thing that I think it said that 35% of the sign-ups for the Open was Masters athletes who actually competed in the Masters category rather than in the Open category, which is huge, right? If you just get like 35% of the total registry is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
they're the ones that are paying the rent.
That's another thing. This is not just in CrossFit though. In weightlifting, even in competitive weightlifting, we had at our Masters event this year at Masters Nationals, like 50 or 60 people competing in the Masters division compared to like the 20 to 30 we had in the seniors.
Yeah.
The Masters do most
I think
of the
that's something you'll see.
All of the judging, they do all of that other stuff as well. And I feel like it's the same for CrossFit. And it's because the Masters, obviously, they have more time. They don't have to work or, whatever. They are able to schedule themselves a lot better. But it just seemed so wild to me that they kind of like palm the Masters, palm the teens, when really they're the ones that they need to rely on the most.
Yeah.
To try and like keep everything going,
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a missed case when people like Rich Froning and maybe even when Matt Fraser turns 35, like if they continued in the individual route rather than the team thing and if there was actually money there to do it, then people would start watching individual again for the 35 to 39. And then when he turns 40, he keeps going. But they don't do that anymore. You had Scott Panchak do it, but he isn't like a Froning effect, like if Froning did this year's Masters, it would have changed the game. But unfortunately,
everyone would have watched
he didn't do it. Yeah.
But I think eventually it's going to happen, right? Eventually, Noah Olsen's going to be 35, and he's going to, whether you like him or not, he's going to drag his fan base with him. Jorgen Carl Goodmanson is eventually going to be 35. Kind of Saunders rather is going to be of that age, and then when they start competing, I think it starts dragging interest that way as well. I just think at the moment
you're just assuming that they're going to compete, but are they going to compete for little prize money?
That's what I mean.
Well, I did watch an interview with Noah Olsen, and he said he would. He's like, oh yeah, I'd love to do the age groups. Like, I'd love to actually bring some interest there because the money comes after the interest is there. It doesn't happen the other way around. Like, you can't pay someone if no one's watching. And no one's going to watch if these guys aren't there. So someone's going to have to be like, oh, I'm going to do it because I find it fun. Like, Noah Olsen probably doesn't need to worry about his sponsorships anymore. Like, he'll just have sponsors for the rest of his life. He can go and do the Masters and still make money.
Yeah. It's a shame that we talk about is like money to bring sponsorship and people over. But at the end of the day, I just hope it doesn't die out and it continues because I love watching it. And
it's my favorite.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you just need money to run the world.
I just think if they don't get it right soon, it's going to keep getting less and less and less. If they keep
so this is a big step in their direction, and if it's not fucking right on this one, when they've actually separated them and they're like, "There's going to be better now." If this doesn't work, then I don't know. Like,
what are they going to do? There's nothing else that they can do.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. Something was really special about CrossFit in 2017 and 2018, and then something changed. And then they did that whole invite Paul to come compete at the CrossFit Games. And something just felt different, and it hasn't quite felt the same to me ever since.
Yeah.
And I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is that feels different, other than obviously the blaringly obvious mismanagement of the sport. I just mean, even just watching the athletes, I feel less. I think impressed than I was then.
Savan touched on it, and I think it's like CrossFit is a media company, and if you don't treat it like a media company, then the visuals of CrossFit aren't going to come through. And, you know, we get
100%.
little trickles of like shit from, you know, Rich Fronting's team and Craig Ritchie and Proven's team, but, you know, we don't see any like really cool stories anymore, like the road to the games and stuff. And maybe they just need to look at that avenue again and, you know, make
a shame
CrossFit
because
a media
I
company.
reckon they were one of the biggest media companies on the planet for a while, or at least one of the biggest growing media companies, and then they fired the whole media team.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, what can you do?
Nothing.
Anyway.
We can't do anything except for talk about it.
Yeah. On the topic of competitions, we've got some coming up, don't we?
Yeah. So I've got a team in, and I think we have one other team. Is it just 2 teams?
In what?
And we've got All Stars coming up in November.
All-Stars. I'm actually confused as to who's actually doing All Stars because I know every single Ducks team, all the RX Ducks teams qualified.
Yeah. Are we just really good, or were they desperate for teams?
No, so what happened is your top 5 teams qualify. I think our top finishing RX teams 4th, they qualified, and then every time someone from a different state, because the final is in Queensland, anytime someone from a different state rejected their invite, they invited a team from Queensland.
Yeah.
So in the end, all our Ducks teams got invites from Queensland because the final is here. It's just easier for them to invite a Queensland team.
Right.
So I think we had 4 teams actually qualify. I don't know which have accepted because one team have someone overseas and the other team, Josh, dislocated his shoulder, but I think they're doing it. So the Britt, Jordan, Ben is in for Josh and Nathan.
Right.
And then your team, Greg, I heard you guys have an injury replacement as well.
Yeah, we got Sarah instead of Kara, so that's just one letter, so that's easy to remember.
Yeah. What happened?
Kara's actually pretty good. She's doing almost every class without altering it, other than a few things like handstand push-ups and stuff. But she's just been like medically pulled from competing just to keep an eye on herself, and you know she's probably just done the right thing because she doesn't want to let us down. And if there was like 1 or 2 movements that came up that she wasn't comfortable with, then she wouldn't want to do them movements, obviously. So
yeah, fair
Sarah's good to go. She's healthy and she's willing to step in, and she's old enough.
You guys are a pretty good team. I'm pretty.
Yeah.
I'm pretty keen to watch you guys throw down. Do you know anything about the event, Greg? The All Stars event?
I talked to the owner of the event, and all he told me was that there's a water event. And I said, "Oh, so there's swimming?" And he's like, "There's a water event," and that's all he said. So
whatever that means. Maybe we're rowing on the water.
Stand up.
Stand up paddleboard, you reckon? For teams of 4.
Or kneeboard.
Kneeboard.
Just going from past history, they don't tend to spend a lot of money on equipment for us. They're just like, they're just going to keep it super simple. They probably put all their money into the venue, but I don't see them bringing out an implement to use for one session. But I reckon it might be
we'll see.
Well, yeah, exactly. Could be running in the water, Baywatch style.
It could be like the beach. You're running in the shallow water. You're not allowed to run on the sand.
Yeah, it could be like do a workout in the sand, run into the water, get 20 meters in, come back, run through the shallow water, get back to the sand, do a thing.
Yeah,
to me that's like really hard.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but do you know if it's 3 days? Because I know they've said that it's Friday to Sunday. It's somewhere that it's going to be Masters on Friday and Saturday.
That would be nice because 3 days of competition
That's
for
a
like,
lot.
dude, we're not CrossFit Games athletes. We're just in it for a good time. We don't need to be thrown down for 3 days. So that might make a bit of sense.
1 3-day comp a year, and that'll be Torian. Like, that's the only time a 3-day comp is acceptable, in my honest opinion.
And even that wasn't like high volume stuff, really.
No, it was good. It was well programmed and everything.
We're doing it, are we?
Yes, we are doing it.
Yeah, that was the other team, so that's a third team.
Yeah, and so Liss's team qualified, so Liss and
they're just having a bit of trouble with filling in the gaps.
Sarah's away, and Josh Luce has a bungee, so I'm unsure whether they're doing it, but they did qualify, so that's our 4 teams. Oh, and we obviously have the other Masters team, the older Masters team qualified well. Ange and Tash.
Yeah.
2 boys. Again, Ange and Tash are both in Europe at the moment. I'm not sure on their ETA back in Australia. But yeah, that's our next comp. It's pretty exciting. We've got lots of teams going down. That is on the 17th of November, that weekend. So
that's at KO Stadium up the coast. So if you're around, come and support.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be pretty cool to watch in the stadium.
Yeah.
So you've got some training to do, Liam, if you haven't been doing anything for 10 days.
Yeah, so we've got 5 weeks till that happens.
How do you go about, and even like in the past as well, where you've maybe had longer than 10 days off or whatever, or even coming back from an injury, Rhian, you can probably touch on this as well, for going on a holiday or having an injury. Like, how do you go back into regular training again? Let's say you're not even injured, or you're not, maybe you've been sick or something, but you just had 10 days off. Do you just jump straight back into the program, straight back into the volume, hoping that you just like get back to normal again?
No.
So
that's the
volume low, intensity high, or intensity low, volume high, or a mixture of both?
It depends. So if I'm coming back from sickness, then I have low volume and low intensity. But if I'm coming back from like a holiday, a 10-day holiday, like I think I'm more likely to try and do a majority of the program, but just settle back on the actual intensity of each of the pieces. So I'm still trying to keep my recovery rate up, because something that I notice with myself is if I'm not doing a high volume of training, I really struggle to recover from those high intensity sessions. So even if I'm training high intensity, but for small amount of volume, those high intensities tend to fuck me up real good. But if I'm doing a higher volume of training and then starting a high intensity session in, I don't get as sore. So that's try to keep my volume up when I'm coming back, but that's just how it works for me, I guess. I don't know how you feel about it, Riz.
I'm mostly like, do normal volume and keep intensity pretty low. So whether that's injury or sickness, I just go by feel. I just do whatever I can on that day, like depending on how sick I was. Like, I've had some pretty bad flus and stuff like that, where it's been like 3 weeks of just like trying not to die, But then by the end of it, you're like, oh, I'm back to normal. It's totally fine. So I think as a preference, like when I came back from my 4-week holiday, I've said this before, I just modified everything. I scaled everything back. I still tried to do everything, but obviously a scale variation or slightly modified. And I just kept my intensity low. I didn't go balls to the wall. I just was like moving and making sure I was ticking that box and getting myself back into a good routine.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to lean a little bit more to the side of intensity with low volume. Only intensity if my body's up for it, and if I'm dealing with an injury, then I'm not going to obviously throw intensity in there unless it's like avoiding that movement or whatever. But I find that if I can just keep my intensity high, then I don't need to throw 1,000 different things into my training. And if I'm just doing the class, I'm like, all right, there's a 10-minute AMRAP today, or there's like a 10 to 15 minute workout, I can put the intensity in, avoid injury or avoid the movement that I'm trying to, recover, and still get really, really uncomfortable and out of breath. And I find that that's better for me, because intensity is so hard to kind of like claw back at, because you're always like, I'll just dial it back a little bit. I'll do heaps of volume sometimes. And then all of a sudden it's like, you're just encouraging yourself to not hurt, and just learning how to hurt is like such a acquired skill.
100%. It does take a little bit of time every time you go away.
Yeah. And that being said, I've definitely had my demons with like not wanting to hit intensity, and I'll be like, oh, so we're doing friend today, zone 2 it is. And, like doing my thruster super slow. No, but like today, for example, I really tried to push hard and like go hard in the handstand hold toaster bar workout, because I know that's not going to affect my hip at all. Whereas on Monday, when it was like the back squat, 20 rep back squat, I literally did mobility for like 20 minutes, and then I did my RDLs and focused on, activating my hips. And then I did a few drills that Rhian gave me, not Rhian, Felice gave me to do as a physio. And then I did like 3 sets of 5 box squats with the empty bar on my back. And that was my session for the day, so.
See, but that's a really good example of still trying to do the volume and just taking the intensity back, right?
Yeah.
I think something to note, though, as well, is all 3 of us have a lot of experience going away and coming back and going away and coming back. I know for me that it's like, if I just do my volume, moderate intensity, and gradually build over a 4-week period, in 4 weeks, I'm back to where I was. And that's with a lot of practice and a lot of trial and error on having been through this situation before. So
yeah,
my ability to do that, normally if I try and maintain intensity, I get sick again, or I'll hurt myself, or I'll get a nipple or something like that.
100%.
So I just feel like for me it was more like, and I don't know if you guys are saying, but it's like just years of practice and like trying to figure out the best way to come back the most effectively. Like it's never, it's, I'm never like, I have to get back to where I was. I'm like, I just have to feel a certain level, and then, I'll be pretty capable to go through everything after.
Yeah, I think what you just touched on there, super important for me, is like, I get super nervous that I'm going backwards when I've been sick or whatever, and then I come back and I try to make up for the time where I was away, and then I just either start back too soon when I'm sick and then I'll just get sick again, or just do a little bit too much and just be super fatigued for the next couple of weeks. So I find the more that I get used to trying to train around sickness and going away and coming back, I always find relative intensity, right? So you're finding intensity that is appropriate for where your health markers are at. And if you're struggling to breathe more than what you normally would in a CrossFit setting, then you need to adjust your effort accordingly, because otherwise you can potentially cause some not super long-term binge in most cases, but just you can extend your time that you're away from full-fledged training. So that's where I'm at least.
Yeah, that saying, like trying to catch up, that's really important. Like people try to catch up, but you just can't catch up. They're like, that part's gone.
Not how it works,
You're moving on to the next thing. You're not, it's not like how much can you fill this up.
So, Greg, your hip. Tell us about your hip. You've been not feeling great with it. What happened?
Well, we talked about All Stars, right?
Yeah.
At the last All Stars, when I did that clean and jerk, it was the 2 cleans, 1 jerk. It was my last lift. It was 120 kilos. And I was actually feeling really good. I was even contemplating putting on more weight, but I'm like, I'll just stay safe. We'll do 120. I think this will be enough. And it was coming out of my second clean. I just felt this little tear in my hip, like a little piece of paper tearing. That's what it felt like. And then I felt it again when I did my dip into my drive and I did my jerk. It was fine because I was like,
that's bad.
I was all fired up, so I just dealt with it.
Yeah, people screaming at you in front of you, you don't feel it at the time,
but then we had one more event to do after that, and it was like lunges, overhead squats, blah 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 blah, and I literally couldn't do more than like 1 or 2 lunges without like grimacing. So luckily it was a team of 4, and Joel and
Joel
Kara
loves lunging.
did more work, but I still, put up with it. And I kind of like, even to be honest, I changed my movement pattern a little bit. I kind of like squatted down, and then I like hinged back out of it like a deadlift to just avoid that pain. The lunges was the worst, and it was like good on this leg, really bad on that leg. Anyway, I try not to make a big deal about it. We won the competition. Hoorah. I had a beer. And then I felt like I recovered relatively quickly. I didn't do much squats after that. And then we went to New Zealand, and it was at its worst when I wasn't doing a goddamn thing other than laying down, sitting, driving. We did snowboarding, but not like that much to like warrant, a bad hip. But it was actually doing nothing that was even worse. So I knew like movement is definitely the answer. Anyway, I came back, and I'm actually feel like I'm on the mend, and it's actually getting better. But I just definitely limit my squatting and my lower body. I guess what you said, like I just limit the intensity on the things that I know will be a bit sketchy. And I still try and put in the intensity to other things. So I'll be obviously scaling some things to like, hey, I'm just going to fucking do some upper body stuff more than my lower body stuff. And when it's my lower body stuff, it looks super boring. Hey, it's just like 5 sets of 10 RDLs on one side. My butt lights up something chronic. And that's probably a good thing because it only lights up on one side. So I know it's doing something. And on the other side, I feel like super strong, and like I could do like 20 reps without it burning. But yeah, it's on the mend, and it's not really something that I love promoting and talking about, but I've always had tight hips, and I feel like I'm more of like a deadlifter and a hinger, and I'm not great at squatting, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, good. But I think it's so important to remember how to work around things like this, like not just being like, oh, I can't squat, like just
no. I'm determined to get it back.
That's what but that's what you're doing, right? You're doing your box squats with an empty bar. You're still moving through a range of motion that is pain-free. And I think that's super important to remember for those of us that do end up getting a hip injury or tearing the hamstring.
Yeah.
Like you still want to move in anything that's less than a 3 or 4 out of 10 pain is fine to do. So
yeah, I feel like if I had to do it right now, I could jump in and do like a fucking squat workout, and I would be fine after a warm up at the time.
Yeah,
and then the level of pain at nighttime is like pretty bad. So
I think that's something that's also very important to note for a lot of people is that we often have these like little niggles and injuries, and everybody I've heard members, athletes, everyone be like, oh yeah, but once I warm up, it's fine. It's like, that's not the point. The point is that once you stop, there's excruciating pain, and it's like, yes, by all means, we don't want to stop moving altogether, but we can't be having you do stuff and then not be able to walk for 3 days afterwards. Like,
100%.
You have to learn how to be like, I can train around it. Like, I can do lots of other things
without making it worse. Yeah,
correct.
Well, if there was a fitness regiment that we could do, it would be fucking CrossFit, because there's so many things you can work on. And it's like, hey, you've hurt your shoulder, or you've rolled your ankle playing touch football. All right, good. It's time to work on that bench press that you fucking suck at.
Yeah.
100%. Like, oh, you tore your hamstring. Okay, you're doing handstand push-ups every day for the next 6 months. Let's go.
Yeah, it's really good to work on a weakness when you are actually slightly recovering 100%. From something.
There's nothing like an injury to bring up those weaknesses.
Yeah,
100%.
I wanted to touch on the last 3 or 4 weeks of programming, and I guess maybe some things that we can expect as well going forward. But I just wanted to get like, your thoughts on like the last 3 weeks, and it's probably felt a little bit different from some people as well, hitting some high rep volume, power movements, and hitting some pretty gnarly workouts on Tuesday and doing some zone 2 stuff. Like, what are your thoughts on the last couple of weeks?
I've been away for 2, so Riz, you're up.
Like I said at the start of the podcast, I feel like I've been really enjoying it. I mean, a big thing for me is my just general cardiovascular fitness. I'm not naturally inclined to just be like the fittest person. And so I feel like the zone 2 for me has definitely encouraged me to work on it. It's like it's forced me to not avoid it anymore, I think is the main thing. And then I've actually seen it really, I feel like I'm a lot calmer in workouts. So that's just something that I feel like I've been able to focus on and really improve, is like just my general breathing, I don't know if I said this on the last podcast, but like I did that 5K run and my heart rate was at 197. Like it was 5K run.
Yeah, it's crazy.
My heart rate should have been at 197, so
that's more than your max heart rate, Rhian, please.
For me, I really I really wanted to focus on that. I also am not good at high volume. It's not like something, like you said before, Greg, my background for the last 4 years has been weightlifting. So a super high volume is just not a concept my body is familiar with. But I feel like going by the guidelines that we've given, like the right percentages or the RPE, and really even though I'm like, oh, I could go more, just abiding by those kind of recommendations.
Yep.
And so there's a reason why they're there.
Yeah. And doing it that way, I've seen really great results. I feel really, really awesome. I feel like overall I have noticed my ability to stay calm and my ability to continue has definitely improved, and that's only in 3 weeks. So
yeah, that's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
This has been the block that I've been looking forward to the most, not just to do myself, but to see other people do, because it is hard. Like the stuff we're doing is not just physically hard, but mentally hard. Like doing 40 minutes of zone 2 running isn't easy in terms of just, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to run faster than what zone 2 is. And then, yes, it feels good in the moment and feels like you're getting fitter and whatever, but there's method to the madness, and sticking to the program is it pays off in the long run. So I'm pretty excited what the next 5 to 6 weeks has in store for us. So
I've actually liked the large amount of variety that is happening.
yeah.
Even though there's a lot of consistency with you're squatting 20 on Monday, and you're deadlifting 20 on Friday, and Tuesday is going to be kind of long, and Wednesday is going to be weightlifting. Like, to me, I feel like I'm doing CrossFit, like real CrossFit, because like we're going really short and intense. Like this workout, for example, the 21-15-9 hang power snatch overhead squat. There was a 9-minute time cap, but the normal time was like 3, 4, or 5 minutes. And the amount of intensity I saw there was like, it looked like people were doing their first ever CrossFit workout when they were laying on the ground after a 3-minute workout. And then the next day, you've got like some super long, grindy workout with some bar muscle up practice or zone 2 training. And then you're going into like a partner workout after a 20 rep deadlift. I'm really liking like the themes that we've got going on. There was another workout that I'm looking forward to.
That squat workout, and I haven't missed it on my holiday. I think that was that would have been so good to see people throw down and try and like hold onto their bar and go unbroken. It would have been.
So I actually saw Sarah and Ben doing this workout together. Unfortunately, Sarah was standing in front of Ben, so she was facing forward and he was facing her, so she couldn't see him. But she was actually beating him for the majority of the workout. And then I think when they get to the 9, she just holds it on her hip a little bit to sort of like reestablish some hook grip. I think I may or may not have said, if you don't go unbroken, you're dead to me. But
fair.
So she was like forcing to go unbroken, and I think Ben saw that and he just like ended up
and just went.
beating her for like 2 seconds because he knew that she was just stopping for a second, but she still went unbroken and he went unbroken. I think they were like incredible times, super, super fast. And
rolling on the floor screaming afterwards.
And I find that that's like super important that people like that, like two of the best athletes in the gym, are doing a 25 kilo snatch and overhead squat workout or a 35 kilo snatch and overhead squat workout, just like everyone else. Even though Ben snatches over 100 and even though Sarah's snatches well over 60 or 50 or 60, but to not go heavier in weight, just to fucking rip in and show me intensity. And they fucking brought the intensity that day.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, as well, as I read something pretty cool the other day that compared your training environment, so like how much intensity and who you're training around, to the program that you're doing. And you can do not that that's what we're doing, but you can do a optimal program. And if you are training with good people and being competitive with them and putting in the hard yards and getting that intensity, you're getting more benefit than doing low intensity with the perfect program. So, like, really being in every single time that you are doing whatever you're doing, whether it's weightlifting or a 21-15-9 or a 20-minute AMRAP, getting the appropriate intensity out of each workout is way more beneficial than worrying whether you should have done 26 minutes or 24-minute AMRAP. You know, like,
how many times have you gone into the gym? How many times have you gone into the gym not really feeling it, and you end up sending it or training really well because the people that you're 100%. Training with that day have actually like brought you back up to level again? You know, you might have had a shit day at the, you know, crawling around attics or whatever you do as a Sparky, or like, you know, kissing men. And, you know,
nothing wrong with that, Greg. Please, come on, mate.
There's this meme that I saw about like plumbers and Sparkies, and it's just like they're just back and forth at each other. It's so funny. But you know, you could have a really, really shit day. I've had shit days in the past, and I just walk in and when I do a class, especially after a shit day, I feel 10 times better. Just because the level of intensity is higher and the atmosphere is good, and you know, you're meeting new people and you're actually like feeding off other people's energy. I couldn't imagine training by myself in the garage.
Yeah,
and I know people do it, and that's incredible.
Yeah, this is something that I have always said, and it's a big reason why I stopped doing CrossFit competitively, was because I had to train alone a lot of the time and it sucked. And I ended up not enjoying myself or enjoying my training, and you stop seeing really good results. The best times and my best performances and my best training has always been when I'm training with other people, and you get so much more out of that. Even if it's just like you're just having a fun training session, like the vibe and the energy that carries over into the rest of the training sessions for the week, and you know, your mentality coming in the next day, like that makes a really big difference. And I think
100%.
I often see people who will train on their own, or they'll do things alone, like in the gym, and they're training really hard, but you don't really have a good comparison. Even if you have one of the best times in the gym, sometimes like, you know, you don't really have a good comparison of like what other people are doing or where they're pushing or how they're doing the workout. And
100%.
So you get stuck in your own routine, your own head and your own mind, and it can be really limiting. It can be super limiting, or you know what, you could just not do all the reps and, you know, not realize you're not, you know, you've missed reps or you missed a whole round, and you just like, it's really easy when you're constantly training alone for those things to start to creep in. And I think that's why CrossFit is so great, is because when you are in the class 5 or you are training with a group of people, it holds you accountable, it keeps the vibes
100%.
up, it makes you want to train harder.
Yeah, 100%. The amount of times I've been yelled at by Joel because he was like, there's no way you finished that before I did. And I'm like,
he does that a lot, doesn't he?
He does it all the time. We call him out for it all the time. We're like Harry will be scaling or whatever. Harry would. He'll be doing 15 reps instead of 20, and Harry will finish before Joel. And Joel will be like, get back to the fucking bar. 220, like in the middle of the workout. So good. He's so grumpy when he's working out. It's my favorite. It's the best.
But it's a good. It holds you accountable. Like it keeps you on your toes, and it's all in good fun. Like I think
100%.
that's the best thing about having like training buddies, and being able to
for
get
sure.
with other people.
Yeah, and it's good for banter as well. Gregg Glassman said that if you're always racing, if you're always like riding a bike and racing by yourself, you're always winning, right? And then you go ahead and you race with a whole bunch of people and you get your ass kicked, but you try even harder. So what's more important, winning and going slower, or coming 10th but going faster? And that's why you want to be training with people that are better than you, or just like being in a really good environment. And I kind of like had that thought as well when we were doing our warm up for I think it was Monday or Tuesday. No, it was Wednesday. The weightlifting, we did seated vertical jumps just to get some explosiveness through the hips, and then we did a vertical leap. So we were just trying to jump as far as possible. And the first couple of times, everyone just
horizontal leap.
Yeah.
Vertical jump.
Yeah. And thanks for working on that angles for me.
Yeah.
And then
no worries,
people were just doing like 5 jumps in a row, and I'm like, stop. This is the line.
Yeah.
Get behind the line, have a piece of chalk, do your jump. I want you to mark your back foot, and then I want you to beat that mark every single time. And there were people that could beat that mark every single time because they had a visual marker to beat. But if they didn't have that visual marker, they wouldn't have tried as hard, and they're just like, jump again.
100%.
But it's incredible how they beat it by like 1 centimeter every single time. So their chalk line looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They beat it by 1 centimeter every single time because they had a visual marker. Can I repeat that any more times?
Yeah. I think something as well, like I don't ever train like when I'm training alone, or if I'm, there's only 1 or 2 other people there and we're just, sometimes you do just go through the motions, and I think that is also important to do. You can't max out red line every single day and expect to be able to come in and be all 100% on every day and give 100% in PB and win and do everything. I like to choose the days where I know I'm going to hurt. I'm going to hurt that little bit more. It's going to be a little bit harder, and I'll try and rally people to train with, because like I want to get more out of myself on those days than be like, this is a great workout for me. I'm just, I'm going to crush it or whatever. I try to pick the ones that I'm like not great at, or I know are going to hurt a little bit more. But if I'm pushed, because like it's nothing, I'll work real hard when I'm being pushed. But if you are like, just do whatever, I'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
When you were going to Adelaide, you drove, right?
Yep.
Did you ever have the urge to like, when I go on like long drives and I like drive, especially in the countryside, and I see a tree and I'm like, that tree would be so perfect to hang some rings over and just do 30 muscle ups and then continue. Do you ever have that urge or no?
I actually took like basically my whole home gym along with me on my drive down. So
you took a barbell?
No. I had dumbbells, sandbag, I had some rings in there, a bunch of stuff. But unfortunately, I ended up being sick 3 days in, so I only used the gym equipment twice. So
no.
So I ended up not being able to use it all. But yes, I do. Just me in a me in the caravan park where we were camping on the way down every night, doing dumbbell snatches and dumbbell squats and some burpees, and the old people in their caravan looking at me funny. 100%.
How much weight did you have in the car?
I had both our 15 kilo dumbbells, both our 22 kilo dumbbells, and our 50 kilo sandbag.
You may just want to get your wheels aligned or check that everything's all good there.
Yeah, and we were towing the trailer as well on top of that. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. Hard yakka.
Yeah.
Just before we go, I just wanted to have a look at next week's programming, and we can kind of like, I can even take snippets of this and pop it on Sugar Watt as well if you want, but it doesn't have to take super long. But here is our next week. Let me have a look. Can you see that?
Coming up.
Yep, I can see it now.
Sweet. All right. So on Monday, like we talked about in the class today, that we're trying to go from using that strength and see if we can apply it to actual workouts and work capacity. So Monday we're doing a squat heavy workout, and on Friday we're doing a deadlift heavy workout, and then we're going to introduce the 20 reps again the week after. So this workout is a fucking absolute banger, and it's going to bring the intensity. We got 6, 9, 12, 9, 6 lateral burpees over the bar, front squats, and chest to bar pull-ups. I saw some people do this in about 8 minutes, but I reckon like 8 to 10 minutes will be a really good time. But most people will probably be living about that 10 to 13 minute mark.
When looking at something like that, Greg, what is your advice in terms of what does the first minute of your workout look like, and what are you saying to yourself in a workout like that? Are you being okay, I'm going as fast as I can, or are you trying to have some kind of controlled aggression, and how are you doing that?
For this workout in particular, I'm smart enough now to know when the reps go up like this, then you're not a rock star in the first 2 minutes. So but that being said, 8 minutes is still a relatively fast workout. So I would need to do this workout and then redo it again if I wanted to really push the pace. But honestly, for this workout, if I decide to do it with the front squats and see how my hip is, my set of 6 will probably be a lot slower than what people think. And then my set of 9 will probably up the ante a little bit. And then I feel like the workout, in my opinion, is 12, 9, 6. And the 6 and the 9 are just a bit of a feeler. Me personally, chest to bar pull-ups have to be unbroken. The front squats have to be unbroken. And the lateral burpees are not fast. And I reckon I could hold the front squat and the chest to bars unbroken if I can slow my burpee rate down and just keep under control. But when you see 6, 9, 12, don't go fast at the start. First 2 minutes will really dictate 100%. The rest of this workout. You won't win it in the first 2 minutes, but you can definitely lose it in the first 2 minutes if you go out too fast.
Sure. Chris?
Yeah. I'm excited to see the guys actually put everything that we've done over the last 3 weeks and see if their capacity to hold on and feel that leg burn and their heart rate increase and manage that, intensity in that workout. I think it's a great way to test what we've been doing.
Yeah. Cool. And that's kind of the goal, is that we're looking at this workout and we've done 3 weeks worth of high volume squats. We've done, in our extra work, we've done 3 weeks worth of high volume chest to bars. So this workout's a really good opportunity for you to express that in an explosive and aggressive manner. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, this will be a fire workout. I'm really looking forward to that. The next workout, you guys have heard of the Miko triangle, right?
Yes.
100%. Worst workout of all time.
We're just going to call this the Dutch triangle because our ski ergs are still. I was on the phone to him 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, "Can you come out and fix it before this week?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll try my best." Anyway, they're fucking slackers. So I figured we're just going to make it a little bit more CrossFit open-y, a little bit more zone 2, zone 3 training-y, and a little bit more just sweat and recover from any potential DOMs that we have from Monday. So we got a 40-minute EMOM, row or ski, mix it up, bike, mix it up on either bike. And then we got our shuttle runs, 1 minute on each station, 1 minute rest. On a workout like this, I'm going to even tell the class, I don't give a flying fuck what your score is. Just try to move for 60 seconds on each station. Try and keep your arms pumping on the rower. Try and keep your legs pumping on the bike, and try to not walk on the shuttle runs. And you'll get what I want from this workout. If you're super desperate about getting a good score, then I don't know, you might be missing the point a little bit on this one. But either way, it's 40 minutes of sweating a lot.
Just pure capacity. And would you suggest trying to find a number and hold that number across the whole 40 minutes, or are you just trying to go for the whole minute on every?
That would probably be a good way to stay consistent. Hey, is find a number. I did a video and I was actually talking about the diagnostics and all the information that you see on the screen, and we typically don't notice or look at that much, whereas this could be a really good opportunity to find your averages and see what your average rowing stroke rate is and see what your average cadence is on the bike. And I sort of said, try to stay consistent with them numbers, not so much the calories, but stay consistent on the cadence or the stroke rate. And I think you'll probably stay a bit more under control there. And for 100%. The shuttle runs, it's not that long of a distance. So your stride and how many steps it takes you actually matters. And you should be really deliberate with how you turn and what foot you lead with. And what I find my shuttle runs as well is I actually start running backwards as I get to the line. And so then I put my hand on the floor, and I'm already facing that way. And that just helps with my change of direction a little bit.
Yeah, cool. I'm pretty excited for this one. I've done Miko's Triangle before. And for those who don't know, that's a row, ski, assault bike, rest.
Yeah.
And I think RX is 20 cals a minute for 40 minutes for guys?
I don't think there was a number on it. I think it was just an AMRAP like this.
Okay, I think I've seen games athletes doing it and challenging.
And they're just holding 20 each time.
Hold the 20 across, which is absolutely bonkers. So if you guys want to give that a crack, I'll be impressed.
Fucking hell. Rhian, you want to touch on Wednesday?
Yeah, so we have been doing over the last 4 weeks some complex work, just working off of our power percentages, and we are gradually building to start working under a little bit of fatigue. So we are still on the power snatch, pause overhead squats. And it's just building up in confidence and strength, and still good quality reps, and making sure that obviously you're moving efficiently and you're strong, your shoulders are strong, catches are good, you're stable in the bottom of your squat, all of those things, because they will start to convert to the next phase of the lifting that we're going to do. But yeah, the complex work is just been slowly increasing in percentages. So now you're going to start to see upwards of like that 80% on Wednesday.
That's the first time we've seen 80%, right?
Yep. Yeah. It is only of your power, which reduces.
For some people, that's more.
Well, exactly. Some people have a high power snatch and they do snatch, which is wild. But for
not me.
Yeah, not me. For those who don't, it's a great way to just move efficiently and, just focus on good technique and being strong and stable in all of your positions. And it's just a little bit of endurance on the barbell. It's a lot harder to, repeat high power output on a complex like that than it is to just, do 3 power snatches or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I'm a massive fan of like power snatch into a full snatch, because if you don't have good footwork, then you're fucked up. So it really encourages good footwork when you do a power first and then you squat. Like last week was really good with the cleans.
Yeah. And I think the main thing that we've been like trying to talk about is just, like making sure that each of those reps is the same and that you're being consistent across your movement. And that's the best thing about complexes, is if there's like a variation in what you're doing from one thing to the next, and for most people that occurs in their pull to some degree, like if you pull too much with your arms, or if there's a change in that, it's going to mess up the next movement. So it's really good for like developing that good consistency in everything that you're doing, regardless of, whether it's a power or a full.
Yeah, 100%.
Moving on to Thursday. So if you've been paying attention, every second Thursday has been like purely just running, and every opposite Thursday has been running, but then, other movements involved in a little bit more CrossFit-y style. So that way we're keeping the running every single week, but we're just, layering on some fun stuff to keep the attendance high and to focus on stuff that we don't typically do in workouts very often. So 20 minutes on the clock, you're going to run 1,600 meters. And I actually encourage you to not run that hard. Try and like hold whatever zone 2 pace, or maybe even just slightly heavier than that at the beginning, so you can really put the effort into what's left in the gym, which will still be a good amount of time. So 1,600 meter run, then you're just going to go as many rounds as possible, 10 meter sled push, 15-meter handstand walk, and 25-meter dead ball carry. And that doesn't have to look fast and furious as well. That can be like just 10 to 15 minutes worth of really good practice or training for some handstand walks, or getting comfortable with a heavy dead ball if you're not used to picking up heavier ones, or just having some fun with the sled. Just something a little bit different there.
Cool.
Here's the banger of the week, in my opinion. I reckon this one is going to be an absolute rip snorter.
I think the Saturday one is even more confronting.
Did you say the word confronting?
Yeah.
We got 2 confronting workouts back to back, but that's what you get when you go a heavy day and then a skills-ish day, and then Friday and Saturday it's time to work hard. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got deadlifts at that moderate to heavy load, and then dumbbell bench press. After every set, you're going to do 10 toes to bar. So that's 100 toes to bar, just like today. There was 105 toes to bar. But the deadlift is where I really hope that people can start to shine now. So obviously that's going to be heavier than what people are doing for their 20, but it should be, comparatively what they could easily do for 10, 9, and then obviously down to 1. But yeah, I definitely have been telling people, or want to tell people, you should be doing the deadlifts unbroken, or at least you could, if you had to, do the set of 10 unbroken. So pick that weight if you're not sure about that.
Yeah.
This is the first time ever that I'm looking at an 85 kilo deadlift for reps and being like, I can do this.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it's a deadlift heavy workout, I think it won't be the deadlifts that slow people down now. And I guess that's the goal, right? After doing all these deadlifts, they should be like, oh, actually the deadlifts weren't that bad. All of a sudden I realized my chest, my bench press sucks, or my lack of toes to bar when I get fatigued. And then that compounding effect on your deadlift grip strength, followed by all them toes to bar. I'm really curious to see if can people back up and do all them toes to bar, a simple movement after holding onto a heavy barbell.
100%. Yeah. I'm keen to see if people are able to hold on to the same or similar size sets on their toaster bar for the whole workout. I think that's going to be the real determining factor on whether you feel you've succeeded in this workout or whether you feel you've failed in this workout. Is if you are doing 2s and 3s at the end of your workout, you may have gone faster than the person doing 10s in their workout. But I think you'll feel, personally, I think you'll be more, there's more to gain from trying to do bigger sets for the whole 10 rounds rather than trying to do small sets just for the sake of going fast.
Yeah.
I was about to say, do you want, like, Greg, with this workout in mind, like, are you thinking, like, do, like, try and hold on for 10 for as long as you can, or, what's your...
Yeah, I think for a workout like this, our goal should be to be doing big sets on, or if not unbroken toaster bar every single set. And the deadlifts, hopefully what we've been working on, I want that to be unbroken as well. And ideally the bench press unbroken. And the point of that whole rep scheme is to pick a weight that you can go unbroken at the start, and let's see what your threshold training actually looks like. You should be able to knock one rep off and continue to go unbroken. And that's the whole point of 21, 15, 9 as well. You take 7 reps off, you should be able to continue to go unbroken or keep that intensity high. But that being said, I don't think everyone's going to do this unbroken. And not that that's like the final and only goal, but I think that our better athletes in the gym, that should be their goal for this one. Especially if they want to do well in the open.
Time then? Is that
for some people?
Like, I feel like I could do this unbroken, but it's going to be...
But you'll go slower.
Yeah, it's going to be slower than what...
Personally, I think if for the people that are in that boat along with you in the my bigger sets of toaster bar are going to be slower than breaking it up. You need to be doing bigger sets of toaster bar more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that you're going to get better at doing bigger sets of toaster bar is by doing bigger sets of toaster bar. And just to go faster for your workout, you are now doing a WOD, you are not training.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking to do, is we're looking to train. We're not looking to WOD with our friends. I mean, we are WODing with our friends, obviously, but we're looking to train, and if you're looking at getting better, if you can't do sets of 10 and stay consistent throughout, and if you're doing sets of 10 is going to make you slower, that's probably something you need to look at and work on more often.
Yeah, especially for the toes to bar, because I think we're pretty generous with it's only being 10 toes to bar, but granted it's 10 sets, so that's appropriate. But in history, every time I see an open workout, it's 15 toes to bar, something else, something else. It's like a wall ball shot.
Often. Remember that workout
25
that was
or 15
clean,
wall ball shots, 25 or 15 toes to bar.
100%. So I think 10 is a small set. To be breaking up a set of 10 just to go faster, it means that you're avoiding a problem, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think you would actually learn more about yourself to try to do it unbroken, see where you start to fail or see where that grip fatigues. The fact that we're retesting this workout is actually really good as well. And that'll be a good data point for you to be like, at the round of 6, my toes to bar fell to shit. Sweet. So in 4 weeks' time, we're going to hope that that gets to the round of 3 before they fall to shit. And that's like an extra
100%.
3 sets of 10 that you have actually improved by potentially, maybe resting a little bit longer in between, or by, just improving some grip strength in that
100%.
last month worth of training.
Yeah, awesome.
I have no idea how long this workout's going to take, but I'm guessing like 15 to 20.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Can you tell me, does this look familiar, and what year?
2014, 15.
No, it's later than that. I think it was 2018 or 18. That one that was early in the year.
Right.
Oh, late in the year.
No, 2017. So it was
17, please.
10 rounds per time.
18.
Oh, did you? Okay. I take it back. You are right. 2017, 10 rounds for time, 9 thrusters, 35 double unders, relatively fast workout. It fucking hurt. It was like the last workout of the series of open workouts. So the fact that we're doing it in pairs. Yeah, so we're going to do it in pairs, and you're only going to do 8 rounds each. And the fact that you get a work rest, 1-to-1 rest, that's going to be better for you to keep the intensity high. It's only going to take, a minute to do a round. And so it'll be basically like a minute on, a minute off for 16 rounds. And then you're going straight into 100 burpee box jumps, split as needed. So I was suggesting that people just try to knock out 10s at a time. I understand if people might need to go down to 5s, but anything less than 5 is probably a little bit of a pussy factor. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think I like this workout because you've got that really high intensity with the going 1-for-1 with pretty high heart rate movements, and then you're following that with long reps of another high heart rate movement, but you're going to try and find a breathing pattern and a moving pattern that's going to allow you to bring your heart rate back down at the end of the workout, and then also leaving a little bit in the tank to be able to send that last 30 or 40 burpees is going to be pretty cool to see if people can hang on to that.
Yeah, good way to finish the week. And then, that will be our sort of like interim style week worth of training before we get back into our 20 reps 20s. Again. So what's the RPE that we're going to go back to, Riz?
So we're going to go back to the same week now. So whatever you did this, like the week that we're currently in, so 6.5 RPE.
Yeah.
Aim is to come back to that weight and do that again. The reason being, it's just safer for that to happen. I would be probably okay for the guys that are a little bit more trained, have done recent 1RMs, and are working accurately off of their percentages to maybe increase slightly, but I don't see the point. I don't see the need to do that. I think if you can hit your 6.5 again and it feels great, especially after the volume of the week prior, then that is going to be more beneficial than just jumping up because you feel like your ego needs it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need to be jumping up in weight every single week. I think it's going to be really good to hold that weight that you did previously, and then that's going to give you more to give that full sentence as well.
Yeah, and it's coming up pretty quickly.
It is so quick.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like I just went on my holiday and I feel like the program's nearly done. Like,
I missed it all.
it's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Well, team, I've got to go to the gym and coach some people. Just do me a solid, and when I stop recording, don't close anything because it just takes a couple of like seconds or minutes to just like upload to the
No
cloud.
worries.
Final thoughts?
Did you have one more minute? I just wanted to say something that I didn't really think I wanted to talk about. I think it's important that we do touch on it. Is just there's been a handful of people at the gym who have been cutting their reps or rounds in workouts, and I just wanted to touch on it and just tell people, obviously, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're just cheating yourself or whatever. Like, obviously, you know this, like, something's going to come around and you're going to do worse than you've been doing all year. But I think the number one thing that you have to know is that the coaches see you doing it, the members in the class see you doing it. You're not getting away with it like you think you are. It's just disrespectful to everyone in the class who is doing all the work. Just do all the work. If you come third instead of coming first, that's fine. Just do the work. You're going to be better off in the long run. It's just a couple of people that are, whether they're being bad at counting, which is obviously you lose count sometimes, but it happens on a regular basis, and we just need to make sure that we're keeping everyone to a standard because some people are sticking to the standard, and it's just not right if you're not holding yourself to the same standard that everyone else is. So we're going to try to hold everyone to the same standard across the whole gym. So
it is different as well if there's intent there and they're actually doing it on purpose. But I think we all kind of know the how hard it is to count as well. So there's one thing when it happens from time to time, but if it's consistent, then maybe there is something else going on there that you need to address, and you probably do need to focus more on like maybe.
And if
going faster isn't as important as you actually counting all your reps and, you know, focusing more on that. But I'm curious to know if they actually know that they're doing it or not, firstly. And if it's a shock to them, then we can be like, we can work on this. Like, that's something you can actually work on.
It's something, here's the counter. Like, please use the counter. It's not, if you can't count, that's fine. But also, if you can't count, you will sometimes accidentally do too much. Yeah. So, like, if you see a trend of some person doing too few reps every single day in never doing too many reps, that person, in my opinion, is not miscounting. That person is deliberately cutting corners, and I don't know what the reason is to be doing that. Just don't do it, please. Gregg's going to put a camera in the gym so we can catch you guys.
Well, I was actually just going to buy a whole bunch of abacuses, and you know, you can just like slide your thing over.
My biggest thing is there is a movement standard for a reason, and there are pretty simple standards to follow. And like even just that workout, like I always say it at the start of my classes whenever I'm there, I'm like, I have a pet peeve, an air squat. Your hips need to go below parallel and your hips need to open at the top. It's literally the easiest movement. It's so simple to do, and yet people will still continuously cheat that movement and move quickly and reduce the range, or all to just better a score that doesn't matter. And like you said before, Liam, that's not training. You're just wadding. And
I think if that's an advanced person doing that, then they're trying to go too fast. But I see like people that are new to CrossFit, they just don't even know. You're like, haven't you heard hips crease below knees before? And I'm like, I heard it at every competition. They're like, what the fuck is a hip crease? You know, sometimes I don't know. But there are other people that purposely they're trying to move 100%. So fast because their arch nemesis across the room is like moving onto the rings, you know?
Yeah. And I think it goes back to that whole movement standards are there for a reason. One, to keep you safe. Two, to make you work, harder and be able to develop better. And, cheating those standards or cheating reps or whatever it might be, like, you're not training at that point. And I think
the data is all completely useless if you're not showing that full range of motion.
Yeah.
Then we don't, you can't accurately record it and then repeat it unless you're cutting the rep short again. So, it's important from a data point of view, and that's how you get better, and that's how you know.
And it's like, if you never do a full range push-up, how are you ever going to get better at it?
Yeah,
you're not
100%.
because you never do it.
Anyway, it is something that I feel like at times it's not that big a deal, and then sometimes it feels like a very big deal. So I just thought we'd talk about it real quick, just be like, hey, we see it, everyone in the class or around you sees it. Just if you have a hard time being like mentally being okay with losing, come talk to one of the coaches and we can help you work through that problem, rather than you winning and then open time comes and you're the saddest person in the gym.
Well, that's the thing. They're the people that are going to get mostly bummed out about this are the people that are doing it when it actually counts, and then you're getting counted by someone, maybe even one of us, and it's like we're counting out loud. You're at 17.
Yeah.
Also, just on like a side note, as a coach, I have a habit of counting people's reps. So
we know.
I know. I'm like, I will not anybody in particular, everybody, doesn't matter who they are. I'll be like, hey, you were meant to be doing 15 reps. Is everything okay? Like, you only did 8. Like,
Is everything okay at home?
Like, and that can be for somebody who is new, and that can be for somebody who is advanced.
Yeah.
There's no discrepancy there, but like, I will always make a conscious effort because it's a measure of like if somebody's doing okay in a workout for me when I'm coaching a class.
Yeah, no, they're all good points. So hopefully, hopefully it doesn't continue, and the abacuses are coming out.
Abacuses and secret surveillance.
Is that how you say 2 abacuses?
Abaci.
Abaci. Anyway, team, I will probably see y'all tomorrow.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. I will see you around.
Don't forget to don't
Close.
fucking turn the shit off.